Hello there, welcome in. Just going to be working on some Pebble sketches and providing a space for chat. It is the long overnight between Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Golly, I've got a whole stack of these guys, these little backgrounds. I've managed to pull out a section. They all kind of look like pond water, which I like pond water, but it's a bit green-gray, and let's see if we can find something a little cheerier. That one's kind of pretty. Or that one. There we go. That one's got some nice bright stuff going on. Hello, Maya. Ooh, that one only got a quick pass. It didn't get much water, so still pretty pristine. Let's get started, shall we? Oh, I think this one's going to need a big, nice chubby 10 millimeter pen. Let's switch out. We'll just normalize being discombobulated today. Or any day for that matter, but particularly today. I was just over in another place in our wide world of YouTube, and folks were talking about having to go no contact with people that they probably loved, and sometimes we have to do that. Sometimes things happen, and it's just not healthy for us to stay in close contact. So therapists have termed that process contact. It can happen. It can happen in stages where you disconnect from people that are harmful to be around, and taking steps to work up to basically to work towards having a healthy relationship with people. And there are people in this world who don't allow that to happen. They could be, they might just be outright abusive to you. They might be operating in their own lives in a way that is unhealthy for you to be around. And so sometimes you might pull back a little bit in stages, or go full on no contact, meaning don't talk to them, don't get messages or phone calls, don't have other relatives or other friends pass on messages. Or maybe you're trying out one of the steps called gray rocking, which is when you've got to be in the presence of somebody that's difficult, Um, you don't engage, you just envision yourself to be a big gray rock. And if they talk to you, you say as little as you can in a neutral way, and you don't engage any more than a big gray rock would engage with them. So sometimes we have to do that if we're in maybe in a family group or some situation where you don't want to have a fight, you don't want to have an engagement of any kind. You just want to be in the same space with them and just get through it. So I think it's a little more sophisticated than that, but that's the outline of it. So we just sometimes, we just have to. We find ourselves in difficult situations. I was going to say we have to be in difficult situations. We probably don't have to be. We're not handcuffed and locked behind a door where we are forced to be in a place. But it can certainly feel like that, especially, if you've got somebody. I had a matriarch who was just in my family who was like, "You will be there. We will do this. It will. That's how it's going to go." And eventually, I would capitulate because it was just easier to give in than it was to continue to try to fight that sort of energy. Hey, buddy. We have the fluff ball here at the edge of the desk, just trying to tell me that she thinks she needs a sixth meal of the day. We might have to have a poll. Should we feed the cat? Should we not feed the cat? I don't know. She normally gets 4 meals a day, and I think 6 is excessive. Like, oh, you're very cute. You are indeed. All right. For me, that line became much more clear this year. I was in a car with one of my family members when she. I'm trying to think about how much. You guys can ask questions. I'll answer questions. We'll just do it that way. But the short story is, I was actually had the consult with the cardiac surgeon, and this family member had taken me to that consult because I have PTSD related to medical settings, and the doctor was an hour away because I had to travel to have the surgery. So I take medication so that I can manage to stay in those medical settings while I have to, sometimes it's necessary to get medical care. And on the way back from that, after we'd found out what the surgical situation was going to be, which was the surgical situation was that the specialized surgeon was going to do surgery on my heart at the first possible opening on Monday the next week, and this was Friday afternoon. And as we were going home on a freeway, the person I was with chose to go into a state of road rage, and then proceeded to chase somebody down the freeway at over 80 miles an hour while driving on the shoulder, raging. I experiencing heart attack symptoms and begging with her to please stop and leave it for another day, and it ended with police and fire and me in the hospital, And my opinion was that she was had taken actions that endangered my life. I felt like she tried to kill me. And as soon as the 911 dispatcher came on the line, she snapped out of it and was able to be civil and answer questions, and just like if you flipped a switch. Now, I had witnessed her losing her temper before, but she'd never directed it at me. And when I had asked her to please disengage and stop driving down the shoulder, um, this was actually also a construction zone in this one of the freeways that we were on. We went from one freeway to another freeway. It was an 8-lane freeway, and at one point it was a 50-mile-an-hour zone, and I was trying to reason with her and saying, please, you're going really fast. And she just screamed that I'm only going 74 miles an hour. We were in a 55-mile-an-hour zone. And anyway, I don't know, just later I'm kind of joking about it. Like, she heard the surgeon say that it was like maybe she just thought, well, it's my last chance to kill her. I don't know. I don't know what the hell was going through her head. But anyway, it ended with me in the hospital and having a cardiac event. And then she followed the ambulance to the hospital and she accessed my room twice before they finally posted a security officer outside my room. And then he intercepted her the third time, and instead of calling the sheriff, they just trespassed her from the hospital grounds. I think it's just when you look at like two kind of middle-aged type people, and I just don't think they could visualize that this was actually happening, and so that made it all the more surreal. Anyway, so today most of my family is gathering at my aunt's house, and that's her daughter. So they are choosing to have their holiday that way, and I'm choosing to have nothing to do with it. So I know that I've been in forums and chats around for the last bit of time. I know some of you have been in here, and we've been talking kind of around the corners of these situations. But I know I'm not alone in this. I'm not the only person who has family members who behave badly. And so I'm sharing that in the hopes that if you're dealing with a difficult or even homicidal or crazy kind of a situation, that you feel you're not the only one out there. And that, just because it's December 25th doesn't mean everything's all sunshine and candy canes, or snowflakes and candy canes. There's quite a few of us who are just going to be safely secured in our gray rock posture. Yeah, so Jessica says everyone has those family members. Trust and believe. I think so. And if you're called upon to go break bread with them, that's that's okay. That's all right. It's also all right to say, but just no thanks, Mom, and push herself back from that bourgeois table and go do some other go do some other things. Do some art. If you're a person who likes a park walk and you're and you're not in a raging blizzard. Um, looks like we might have a. I'll have to. I haven't looked at the forecast. I really just didn't want the. I don't. I don't usually look at the forecast, but I might look. And if we've got a sunny day tomorrow afternoon, I might wander down to our big municipal park and take a wander around. I have found when I've done that in previous years that the people you encounter out walking are um, they're friendly enough. So sometimes they're like you are. Um, I'm on the west coast of the United States, so I think it's after midnight, coming on 1 a.m. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. So Jessica is saying that she's watched her family get smaller and smaller, and you you've got a lovely little group there, I think. And you are she Jessica says that someday she will be solo, and indeed, indeed. So my mom would have just kept a lid on all of that kind of stuff, and I think had she been alive, and um, there would have been some family rearranging. After I went through that, I was just recovering from the cardiac procedure, and um, I told any number of mandatory reporters that I was a disabled person and that I had been a crime victim. And everybody from the police officer who arrived to the paramedics to the emergency room, admit, the doctors, certainly security knew. And to a person, they just went, well, it's more important that we treat you for this heart attack you seem to be having, so let's just concentrate on that. And the sheriff never did arrive to take a report. And then once I was released, I had the surgery 3 days later, and it was an hour. The jurisdiction was an hour away from where I lived, so. And it's complicated that the person who did it is my aunt's caretaker, and she's the only person in the family who can do that. So, part of my family was saying, well, what are we going to do with Aunt if the caretaker is jailed? And I don't know if it's nuanced. It's pretty straightforward, it seems to me, but I had other things to do. So there was our cheery story. uh, yeah, that's some kind of cool colors, and I just did a kind of a light wash on this one. It didn't hammer this one with the, 5 layers that I do on some of them. But I do like a variety in these things. So we've got a day ahead of us, and things that we can do, just like in some ways like other days, and in some ways just to enjoy in the way that, um, we can eat dinner when we want. We don't have to gonna have to wait until the feast is on the table. And did you always have? Is it just my family? But they would have. There would always be somebody who we were waiting for them to come from their in-laws, or And my brother had a terrible, terrible habit of telling my mom that he would be there, and then sometimes some years he would never even show up. And my mom would hang out going, "Well, we're waiting for your brother. We're waiting for your brother." The whole dinner, the turkey would be done, everything would be on the table, and my mom would still be going, "Well, we're waiting for," and the rest of us, of course, were just like, "He's not showing up." He does this. He would do it year after year. Or he would say he would be there at 10 a.m. and then he'd roll in at like 6 in the evening. So when you're on your own, you don't have to put up with that noise. You can you can just eat when you darn well want. Yeah. Jessica, I'm glad to see you in here chatting. And I see there's folks out there watching and listening, and we'll try to keep the stories away from the disturbing murderous tales of woe, so that I know it's um, kind of late, and I know I do have some folks who just like to tune in and kind of doze off, and so I will try to conclude the drama and trauma portion of tonight's programming, and we just talk about art and talk about the sorts of benefits or bonuses of just being solo. And there are advantages. There are all kinds of things. You can eat whatever you want for breakfast. You can go hang out in your sweats and PJs and just hang out with the cat. Most communities, the movie theaters are open, so you can maybe go watch a movie or sleep in. Read a book all day and play play video games on your tablet or your Kindle. Hang out and do art streams with your friends on YouTube. I love a Wednesday myself. I just have always thought that that was the best day of the week. It's kind of in the middle. You've still got time to do anything that you had on your list to do for the week. You get to Friday and then there's all kinds of things that, oh, I should have done that on Tuesday. On Wednesday, you could still, like, well, I missed a couple things yesterday. You can still kind of square that away. Jessica says, yeah, the dog's not telling on you. Right. uh, yeah, Jessica says that always a loner, and a favorite time is between 4 and 7 a.m. Those are some really magical, peaceful hours for night owls. I'm with you there. It doesn't matter what time I get up in the morning. I am not ready to do anything until 10:30 a.m. I mean, I could be up at 5 or 6 and I'm still just at 10:15 I'm still dragging myself around. Boy, 10:30 I'm magically wide awake. Uh, yeah. I'm good. I'm good solo. I find groups to be it's kind of a mixed bag for me. Like I could be in a group of people that I like, but even if we're having fun, I have to kind of recharge from it, and that seems to go along with the autism. Like a lot of people with autism say that they are just challenged, and it seems to take a lot more energy to navigate the social situation. So even if we're in it and we're having fun, And I often am. I mean, at my age, I just don't hang out. I don't stay engaged. If I don't stay there in a place, if I'm really miserable, I just finally figured out how to go. Excuse me, I'm gonna need to take off. See you guys later, and go. Um, when I was younger, that was I just don't think I knew how to do that. If somebody told me you need to be there, you're expected to be there. But I have picked up that skill, and I do need to take downtime to sort of be able to string words together again. And there are other people in the world who could spend time in a group and they're energized by that. You know, it's just a different type of person. It's not, neither of us are doing it the right way or the wrong way. So I think it's high time we normalize the the people who like to go solo for, you know, if we're happy in our own company and we're not feeling lonesome. I think other people might feel lonesome in their own company, and so they look at us and they think that we must be lonesome and lonely if we're hanging out on our own. And for the most part, I'm not. I'm really quite happy to be in my own little world, doing my own thing. I'm, you know, every once in a while there's some social expectations, right? We've got this cultural expectation that we're supposed to, you know, gather and be warmly in each other's company, and yeah, it does that does come into my world, and I do have some feels about that. But just on any average day, I'm just perfectly content to be doing my own thing. So I'll go out in a group of people, like say a grocery store, right? And then come home, put the groceries away, and take a nap. And nobody's doing anything really bad or obnoxious. It's just like the density of people and the sound and the navigating the checkout register and navigating with the person who's taking 5 minutes to stand in front of the tuna fish that I just need a can. It's right behind you. I have to figure out how to talk to you and get you to move, and you know, after you've gone, you know, from waiting to get to the apples and waiting to get to the lunch meat or the, you know, cheese or the tofu, or who am I kidding? Nobody has to wait to get to the tofu. You can always get to the tofu, almost always. Um, Except in my grocery store, they put the raspberries kind of near the tofu, and I'll have to wait for somebody to get done figuring out which raspberries they want. It's like, uh, ma'am, step away from the tofu. But it just doesn't seem like that big of a deal till you're in it, and you've got to navigate interactions with people that you don't know how they work. I don't know, you guys. Tell me it's not just me. Anyway, sometimes it does go smoothly. Sometimes I can just go and navigate through the store and never have to, um, you know, make my way down a crowded aisle to get the cat food. Every once in a while. Yeah, Jessica says, I think that once you're accompanied with yourself, almost like the older we get, the more that's I agree. I think I'm trying to just give my brain a minute to kick out something about the. I think the difference when I was younger, of course, you know, there were parents who were just, you've got to go do this. We have a family thing, and no, you can't just stay by yourself. You're 7 years old. You have to get in the car and you have to go do what we're doing. Um, and now, you know, at 27 or 57, you can just, you don't have to get in the car and go do anything you don't want to do. Yeah. Uh, okay. Are you talking about your icon, your little circle icon picture? I can't I can't click on it while I'm in the live stream because I will it'll inadvertently, or I'll bumble my way out of the live stream. But I can okay, I know you've left comments, so after the live stream I will go look at one of your comments and I can click on it and go to your channel and then look at the big one. So I will do that. Ah, you've got something that looks like the Pebble Pix. Okay, I will do that. Thank you. I'm, I am all for anything that's showing the art and sharing the art. Yeah, I was kind of running low on food, and of course I think most places in the United States, most stores are going to be closed on the 25th. So I kept trying to get myself to the grocery store at the end of last week, and to the point that I even went out while I was doing another errand and pulled into the parking lot of the grocery store, and I couldn't even find a parking place. And I just knew it was going to be full of people in there trying to get the turkey and all of the stuff, and just was not able to navigate that. So I finally ended up. I solved the problem, and I'm okay with that. The Domino's or the local pizza place does a deal where they have a whole assortment of items that you can do for something like $6.99. So if you buy one pizza, then you can stack on some pasta dishes and boneless chicken wings, and so I just stacked on a bunch of those things. They also had some brownies that sounded kind of good. It was okay. Brownies were okay. So didn't exactly get groceries, but we got some provisions. So I will be enjoying some pizza later today. Buddy, are you singing? You singing, kitty? So yeah, a turkey sandwich would be good tomorrow evening. That was kind of the traditional thing that my family did. Did a sort of dinner-sized meal at lunchtime, and then after we either watched a game or tolerated other people watching a game and yelling at the TV, as many hours of that as you can take, and then the the evening meal we would have, my mom would make bread, so we would have homemade bread and then sandwiches with turkey, and we'd just make a slice of the dressing sort of sets up. I was going to say congealed. That doesn't sound very appetizing, but it kind of sets up in this way that you can take a slice of it and you put it on the sandwich and maybe some cranberry sauce, and oh, that makes such a good sandwich. So I'm a little nostalgic for the turkey sandwich. It's gonna be a mixed bag of there's nothing is really ever completely, well, okay. Very few things in life are completely delightful, and very few things in life are completely thoroughly horrible. even if you're in the hospital having surgery, most of that is pretty horrible. But then, there's probably a kind nurse, or, the moment you get wheeled out and you get to leave the place. That's always a pretty good one for me. Oh boy. Feeling those bold lines on these. Jessica says she loves turkey. Yeah. I love good turkey. I don't. I think it's maybe because we only, cook them twice a year. It's every once in a while you'll cook a turkey that is just dry. I think that's the biggest uh, kind of failing that you can have with baking a turkey is, or roasting a turkey is. It's about the only thing you can do if you end up with a dry turkey. You just make soup out of it. Uh, Maya has a question. Do you get wheeled out in a wheelchair when you leave the hospital like they do in movies? Absolutely. And you know what? That's not medical. That is because somewhere, once upon a time, a patient slipped and fell on the way out of the hospital, and the hospital was sued and they had to pay money. So the reason we have to ride in a wheelchair to the outside of the door of the hospital is a matter of liability, and that comes down to something to do with lawyers, not doctors. The doctors went, well, we don't ever want to pay money for that again. So they're pretty good at systems, and they instituted a system whereby they would never have to pay a lawsuit for somebody standing up and getting lightheaded or keeling over and becoming hurt on their way out. It's like we've got you patched back together. We're just gonna get you rolled out of here before anything can go wrong. So the hospitals that I have been in, it's literally to the other side of the, there'll be like the sliding glass doors or something. It's like as soon as you are clear of that sliding door, the orderly stops. I think, I've certainly seen them load people into the, waiting for the ride to come around and pull into the pull. There's usually a pull. What do you call it? A little circular driveway where, you know. As for me, I'm so averse to being in medical settings that I'm just like, as soon as I'm clear of the door, I'm up out of the chair, and it doesn't matter what you did to me. I've got the crutches. I've got the all the goodies, and I'm beating feet for the borders. Exactly. Somebody says, but you can get up and walk while you are in the hospital? Absolutely. I mean, they make you do it. They'll come in and they'll go, all right, it's been 6 hours since you got out of the recovery room, and we want to see you walking around. Especially like with the heart procedure I had, they were like they've got a checklist of things that you need to do. Um, it can be everything from eat a meal and have your digestive system come back on track. Um, Walk a lap. Most hospitals seem to be arranged in almost a circle, right? Where there's a hallway that runs in maybe a square or a circular pattern, and rooms around the outside and then rooms around the inside. So there's a place for you to make a lap. And I know I had to get up and walk. I think I, I think it was just like one lap around the recovery area. And usually it's a nurse or a medical assistant of some kind, nurse's assistant will walk with you, and you'll have. I think I still had the IV in, so there's the pole with the wheels on it, and you've got the IV bag hanging on the pole, and you kind of hold onto that and pat around in your that fashionable hospital gear. Those damn hospital gowns that are just flapping in the wind on the back. Oh, I hate those things. No, Maya says so you could trip and fall then, not just when you're leaving. It makes no sense. Well, you heard the part where I said the lawyers got involved. Which means it'll only make sense in specific circumstances when the lawyers get involved. And to be fair, probably not unreasonable to not want people to be hurt. But there is it feels quite good to be able to stand up and just motor yourself out of a situation when you've been, if you've been hanging out in an emergency room for 12 hours. It just feels good to get going. So I'm hoping I'll shout out anybody who's has got to be anywhere near a hospital or emergency room today. I know there'll be somebody, and we're just sending you out some love and compassion there. That's not great, but just part of how things go. Oh, I'm going to show you guys this one a little bit up close. It's Cascade Green was the base. Yeah. Jessica says everything beeps. Yes. Why is that? It is so. There. I. Noises. Last time I went, I took my loops, earplugs, and that did help so much. But there is a lot of sensory overwhelm in a medical setting from just like a lot of sounds, a lot of chaos. Maya says, you don't get to wear your own clothes. You do on the way out the door. But while you're in the hospital, most of the time, like if you're in for a procedure or overnight, like for a surgery or something, you would be wearing a hospital issued gown. And they'll tell me, like, it's so that, like, the things that I would wear would have snaps up the arm so that they could quickly undo it and do an IV or be able to do CPR if they needed to or something like that. But I'm gonna go bribe the cat. Uh, Maya asks, can you walk around alone without a nurse if you're able to? Um, it depends. It depends on if the doctor said it's okay for you to do that. Generally, um, I think if you're able, they kind of, it's okay for you to do that, and they encourage you to do that. And I'm still just delighted as can be with these super granulating watercolors from Daniel Smith. This is one. It's one color. I think I did 2 layers on it. But the watercolor paint itself, it sort of separates out into this mixture of these lovely mossy greens, almost the color of lichens, and then this blue green, and then there's sort of a dusty color that granulates out of it. That it's just, yeah, it's Cascade green. So I was, I was looking at the various colors. I finally got my hoard of vintage paints all put out into the half bands on a palette, and I had wanted to kind of see what I had before I bought paints, and then once I got everything sorted out and I could see where what colors I had, and be able to spot the holes, or the see that, like, I had one purple. It was a really deep phthalo purple, so heavily staining and very, very dark. And so I knew I wanted to add in some purple. I think there were 6 tubes of alizarin crimson, which is a beautiful color but fugitive, and it's a very pink red. I had one version that was kind of almost maroon, but nothing in the orange red, and nothing that was very nuanced. Alizarin crimson is pretty straightforward. When you dilute it down, it still stays pretty. The hue doesn't shift at all. It still kind of stays the same color, just a lighter version of it. So, and then of course greens and blues, which I love any kind of greens. So, I think I had Hooker's green, dark, light, and sap green were the only greens I had. So, once I sort of took inventory, I knew where I could expand the palette, and so I bought some paints, and I'm still just in the process of swatching those and working with them and trying to figure out what their qualities are, exploring that, which has been, it's been a lot of fun. I've just been having a lot of fun doing that, and it's really firing up my creativity to use these colors. And then knowing that those are just a tiny corner of what is available. Of course, my creative mind is just thinking about the super granulating colors that are, there's more in the Daniel Smith line, and then Schminke Horadam has their ranges of super granulating colors in the Shire group, and Glacier, Volcano, haze, urban, desert, tundra. I think that might have been all of them. Yeah. Okay, Jessica's hmm. The table is discolored green. Do I want the table? Do I need to have that table? I might need that table. It sounds pretty wonderful, Jessica. Yeah. So Jessica also says someone swatched a nice purple and it was from a company, but they wanted quite a bit, a homemade watercolor. Oh, yeah, I've kind of wandered down that path a little bit. There's a gal who's on Instagram who does homemade watercolors, and her content is her mulling the paint and making it, and then she puts it onto. Um, I don't think she sells it by the container. I think she just does a big blob on a dot card and sells it by the dot. Um, you guys do this? You ever just run across something and you go, "Oh, that's too good. I can't keep watching that because I will give them all my money." Yeah. So I think it was. I watched a bit of it, and then I started to kind of get really mesmerized by it, and then went, "Okay, I'm gonna move along to something that's more accessible." And oh, it kind of took the attitude. Oh, that reminds me, I have a lot of paint. I'll go. Yeah. Oh, okay. They're selling it in the so they get the little ceramic palette, or there's one that does it on a slice of wood, and I don't even know if she puts a layer of gesso on the little, like, the wood slice, um, and then puts dabs of paint on it, lets them dry, and then sells it that way. Or okay, so Jessica's talking about an account where they put 4 colors on a ceramic palette, and it's $110. Okay, I may have been known to buy a tube of paint for $25, but that was 15 milliliters, so I am a value shopper. In a seashell. Okay. I'm waiting for Maya to chime in on that because Maya gets around the place for the good art supplies. Yeah, I might try it. I might. I I do like the sorts of things that where you can get a little bit of everything. So I I have been trying this. You see, they have the colors sort of stained out because I got the brush in it and made swatches from all the colors on the Daniel Smith dot card. And this was 66 colors for $5. So if you're around, if you're a watercolorist and you haven't tried this, seriously, buddy, I just fed her. Would you please not howl? Oh, okay, I see. She wants me to open the window. It's 2:30 in the morning. There's no birds to watch out there, honey. There's nothing. I'm not going to open the window. The creepy neighbors will be able to see in if I open the window. Oh, you guys, she's so cute. She's giving me her kitty cucumber face with the big round eyes and the but I want the window open. Come here, buddy. Come get a toy. All right. Apparently it's zoomies. Right. And so we have some comments about they're too expensive. They are high end. And Jessica, you never know what you're getting either. That's true. I mean, some of the ones I've watched, the person has said, I was out in my yard digging and I found this clay and I dried it out and then I ground it up and it'll take us 20 years to figure out if that's really light fast. And who knows if there was a dry cleaner or a gas station there? I mean, we don't know if it's free of contaminants. It's not tested for purity. It's probably safe, but uh, hi, Brad. Are you heading into Christmas mass or um? Yeah, no. Oh, just Brad's in England, so it could be Anglican, and I don't think they call it mass necessarily. And I don't know if he's Anglican. And my brain went 27 miles down that road and just went, let's not. No, just have a nice time with that, Brad. I hope it's peaceful and uplifting and enlightening, and there's a lot of warm fellowship and happiness there. There we go. That's where I wanted to land. So Maya's like, I would rather buy a tube of Daniel Smith watercolor. They tell me the pigments and the light fast ratings, etc. I think if you're just working on, like, if you're working on things that are meant to be ephemeral, it's absolutely like, and it can be really inspiring to get a new color and give it a try. So, a greeting card's not meant to hang on a museum wall for 100 years. So I think it depends to what use you put it. And then, if you're a person who's making your own pigments, maybe you're making your own fine art out of it, and it's one of the directions to go. I think maybe small enterprises like that are how we end up with great paint companies eventually if somebody sticks with it and keeps developing their products. Yeah, I think I'm not being critical about it and saying nobody should be making paint out of stuff they find in their yard. I think if that's inspiring and go do it, you're making art. And you guys know I'm all for that. And I do love me an enterprising entrepreneur. And if I'm, didn't really love paying over $10 for a half pan of paint from one of the brands that one of the things that I got in the last order. It's a beautiful color. I'm already into it and wearing a dip down in the paint, and I'm thinking, boy, I just kind of want to save this because it was so expensive, but then, use it. Life is long and it's short, and I am at a point where I'll sometimes look at my art supplies and that I have, and I think, I'm gonna have to work my butt off at cardiac rehab so I can live long enough to use all this stuff up. And that's it's just a different perspective at this stage of life. It's not to be my intention is not to be morose or sad about it. It's just you get in your 60s and it's really a different sort of place to inhabit than maybe being 23. At 23, everything seems like it's out ahead of you. And if things go well, it is, but, it's just a different perspective from 63. Bloop, well, that made my pen go all wonky. I'm not regretful that I am 63. I am a little bit irritated that there's going to be more art supplies that I'm not going to get to. That's the part that's bugging me. Yeah. Oh, Brad. Happy Christmas. Thanks for stopping in. And love to Sarah. Seems like Jessica says she loves the creativity, but it seems like many on YouTube kind of go into these little clicks. That's been my experience. It's finding affiliation or finding a group to hang out with, I think, is generally positive. The part that really bothers me is that some of the groups are they can be mean. They can be mean to people that are in the group that don't quite conform, which means maybe autistic people or neurodiverse people will sometimes get othered. They get shoved to the edges, or they get bullied or picked on in these cliques and groups. That I don't like at all. And I've seen it and I've experienced it, and thumbs down to that noise. But it's always, I think it's a balance, right? Of you've got a group, and I mean, we do that in here. We've got a group of people, who have you found an affiliation. That's why I always try to encourage you guys to be welcoming if we get a new name in the chat, and to, if people are hanging out in the watching, that's terrific. I appreciate that. But I also want people to know that they can come in and chat, and that we will try our best to be to talk art with you, and to find the connection points instead of the differences as much as possible. And once somebody shows me their ass, meaning if they're going to come in and act like a jerk, they've shown me what they're made of, and you've seen it in action. We don't play that way around here. Yeah. Jessica says that she confesses to being an art supply hoarder. That's okay. That is perfectly okay around here. Yeah. Yeah. There are places where I was hanging out for a long time and thought I was among friends, and you can find out that things are not what they seem, always. But there is an infinite amount of room on YouTube. It is not a it is not a limited pie. It's infinite pie, and there is a slice for anybody who is willing to start their channel and do their thing. And I think sometimes I see attitudes of envy or jealousy, I'm not sure what it is, or limited thinking that there are only so many viewers or there's only so many subscribers. And you know, I get into the weeds with the analytics on this, and I know that I've got people viewing, quite a few from Russia and from India and places where I wonder, they're probably watching what's going on and they might not speak English. I'm not sure what the translation capacity for the platform is to, certainly in real-time translation. But there are always going to be people who love art, and there's by no means a limited audience or a small audience that we just have to fight over. That's not you can have a belief that you've got to fight for audience and you've got to fight to have this person or that person. But there are people and there are artists who or for any topic that you're sharing on your channel, there is an audience. And so I just try to have an attitude about it that there are people, and I'm not trying to lure people from anybody else or anything like that. My answer to that sort of cliquishness was to just go, okay, if I'm being shunned out of a chat room or a live chat someplace, I sat with that for a while. I was hurt by that. It did get me down, and then I worked through it and went, fine. If you're gonna make that a place where I'm unwelcome, then I will. Turns out I could just start my own channel and have my own live chat and do the work that I want to do, which is encouraging people to make their own art. And I don't have to, I don't have to sit waiting for a scrap someplace else. I can just go do it. Which is a bit of a change in mindset that it wasn't easy to perceive it in the first place. And it's had its challenges to execute it. But as my channel has grown and I've met more and more people, and we have stacked up we've stacked up the views and the subscribers. I just completed my 100th video yesterday, so you guys I think we're at 101 or 102 here. So anyone who's been along for that, I just appreciate you all so much. And I can't believe, almost like it was like, really, we got there, hit that goal. Yeah, so Witness, hi, it's good to see you. I hope at some point I shared a story early in this live stream about what I've gone through, and I hope that you will, when the video when we go to replay, I hope that you'll be able to just have a listen to that and not feel so alone. And I'm not sure what's going on with your dynamics there, but yeah, I detailed what was going on with my family and the experience I've had this year. So it's really good to see you. And speaking of getting shunned and getting othered in places where we thought we were welcome. That's what I was just talking about. That I think that that's a what's the technical word I'm looking for here? A load of horse shit. Um, I've watched a particular community where there are people who have just given hundreds of hours watching content, and when you're watching a channel, following a channel, and giving watch hours, that translates to being able to be monetized. I am very grateful and very appreciative of anybody who's spending time with me and giving me watch hours. I'm about I'm a good way along my goal. I'm not gonna. There are some people who are just keeping track of it with a lot of envy, so I'm not going to give them the pleasure of knowing where it's at. But I am exactly on schedule for my goals in my progress for my channel, and I see a lot of ingratitude towards the people that are in chat on some big channels, and again, load of horse shit. You're appreciated here, Wit. You really are. And, even if you hadn't gone through something that was as challenging, uh, again, I wasn't there in I haven't been on that channel for quite some time. I know where it was. This kind of stuff, it flies around really quickly. So it gets known, and I know that people know what went down, and I hope that you will be given an apology. If you want one. And anyway, if you want to, Wit, if you ever want to reach out, I do have a channel email, which is, I'm going to break up how I tell it to you so that the bots and I don't get too much more obnoxious death threat spam. Like I get every time I put it out, I get a whole whack of gnarly spam. But it's a Gmail account, and I hope you'll feel free to reach out. So witnesses, I'm going to read that, but I'm not going to read it out loud here. Good for you. I am going to read this out. Witness says her channel doesn't get a lot of views because she says all the words in legal docs for the victims, and I am a little tired of the grape and the PDF files and the euphemisms. I think it is that we've got a lot of fear about the TOS, terms of service, in YouTube, and given how the machine that is YouTube processes us, maybe we should be hesitant about that. I don't really want to get strikes. And there are things like the big three. We just don't. If anybody brings stuff like that up in the chat, I just immediately go bloop, because we don't have to talk about kind of those big things that YouTube is offers a direct caution about those topics. But yeah, I mean, good for you. Isn't it crazy to see somebody just going on a rant about things, and going on for hours and hours about things, but they won't say the words? It breaks my brain trying to process that. I have I had made a community post about my decision to step away from being visibly in that space. And I've never really, I don't think I've ever put up a video that had COS in the title, or that was, um, always come at it, my particular channel content, in terms of offering content that encouraged people who were worn out from protesting and worn out from their activism to cultivate a mindfulness practice to help them to be stronger in doing the work that they were doing. And I was doing that work as well. I was doing that work behind the scenes. And I got treated like I was just a pissant in the chat. And I got tremendously disrespected, both by content creators and by other just chat. So, oh, you no, you were fine. I just don't want to read it out loud. Um, you're okay, Wit. I mean, you're okay, Wit. You're okay. You're good. Um, but this year, along with everything else I've been through, working in that community, trying to do good work in that community, has ended up with me being fair gamed and having my tires flattened by, somebody who's working for the bad guys. And just, catching heat and so much stuff. I don't, it's just like I've got a hold of it, and I don't want to unleash it here because it is Christmas Day, and I mean, it's, I've talked about it. Um, if I'm doing the kind of work that I'm doing, I know that we have a lot of other people who are bringing their expertise and their efforts to the fight. And there's a stratification of who is worthy of being respected or watched or getting adulation and or super chats or support or whatever. And I just, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, I've never seen a group eat its young and just cannibalize itself in the way that we've got going on here. And I was quiet about it to keep the peace, and then I finally decided that I was not going to keep silent about it. So that has earned me an extra dose of being shunned. And I think it's absolutely ridiculous for people who are saying, this church, this cult practices disconnection. It's horrible. Oh, disconnection is horrible. And yet there are people within our group that are getting shunned. You want to tell me the difference between shunning and disconnection? Yeah, they have to be a family member for us to feel sorry that somebody got othered and pushed out? I think shunning is bullshit. I think taking the side of people who have made terroristic threats and are under uh, HSI investigation, but they have good manners. They don't have ethics, but they have good manners. And we're going to hang out with, and we're going to promote channels, and we're going to do community posts, and we're going to push those people out. And other people who say, boy, I kind of ran into some trouble working with people who behave that way. But I'm a squeaky wheel, and we don't want squeaks. You know what squeaks? Uh, I my brain. I don't know if my brain could process that even if I wasn't autistic. But it is hypocritical and it's a load of horse shit. So I tried, communicating in back channel ways with people, and some of these people are butter wouldn't melt in their mouth. They're all over the place. They're the people who say, "Oh, I've got to go mod now. Oh, I've got to go do this." Maybe even people who've taken a stab at making their own channel and they're wondering why the hell they can't get their channel off the ground. Because their actions are known. Maybe not widely enough, but I'm I'm not going to compete for that. I'm not going to compete to be heard in that space. I'm here doing this. And by golly, anytime I hear of somebody who's been given a rough time or shunned or treated in ways that we're standing on a street screaming, we've got people in our community who will stand on a street and scream about the evils of disconnection. And to be clear, the people that are doing that are not the people who are shunning and disconnecting. To my knowledge, could be going on. It wouldn't surprise me if it's going on. But I mostly see it in the areas where there are people who are making a meal out of somebody else's work. Now, I might just be drawing circles on paper. Believe me, I've had some emails that have been forwarded to me at my email, which is my channel name, without the underscore, just smushed together and then sent. So I hope you got that, Wit. Yeah, people forward me stuff all the time. So apparently, word on the street is we don't know why. They don't know why I have anybody watching me just draw circles on paper. Not that I owe them an explanation, but it's really not about that. It's about the space. It's about the encouragement to people to have a creative practice. It's just something for the camera to look at while I'm doing my thing and spreading my message. And furthermore, it's humble. It's absolutely, I don't claim to be, making world-class art here. But it's making my own damn content. I'm not, fishing around harvesting other people's content and trying to package it into other content. That's somebody else's work. I do my own damn work. And it's really kind of, it's just fucking simple. If you don't like watching me draw little circles on paper, just scroll. you know, they don't have to. Why they take the time to send emails to each other criticizing it, I can't understand. I think it's kind of funny. And it really tells me who they are. So I think we've got a lot of people in the community who know a lot more about the workings of things in that community, and I've just been on the petty train here for the for the last few minutes on it, but it has been bothering me, and I have just, it's good to get it all out, as someone says. Get that shit out. I did have folks who certainly gave me a boost in the beginning when I was working towards getting the 50 subscribers so I could live stream. And, that can come if you're in that position and you're going to do it. Just, you can ask for some help from your friends. I've helped a couple of people who have said they wanted to get live streaming, and it doesn't take too long to reach that 50 subscriber goal. Because we do have a lot of really cool people around who are just like, yeah, I'll put you on my list and help let you get to that threshold, and then once you're there, it's kind of up to you to grind out your content, get your channel rolling. And it's not even with the restreaming platforms, it's not even necessary to get those 50. You don't have to ask anybody for anything. You can just do your thing if that's what you want to do. But I've heard of at least one person who is taking credit for establishing my channel other than me. And really, sister? Okay. All right. Believe what you want to believe. It's going to take me a long run before that person had a big head start, so I won't have better numbers than them for a long time. But I know that every time my link to my channel was dropped in that channel, because there were a lot of hate watchers on that channel, and almost every time I dropped it, I'd lose. One night I lost 5 or 6 subscribers on it. And it's just so funny to me that the person thinks that they were doing me a big favor by having that happen. I mean, you could say one thing, but, the numbers, the analytics will they'll tell the story. So I was saying, yeah, please don't drop my link on your channel. Oh, but it's, it's a boost to get something from a bigger streamer. No, really, it's not. Really, please stop. And then, that brings us to this idea that there is, I think technically the argument could be made from a mathematical standpoint, right? That it is finite. There are a limited number of people in the world, and so the audience is finite. But I do like to think of, the opportunities as being pretty limitless, or the limit is so far out there that, this kind of content, it's never gonna stream to tens of thousands at any given live stream, but it'll chug along and it'll do what it does in its modest way, and I'm okay with that. I'm good with that. Yeah. All right, we're going to take a look at the chat here. Thank you, witness. Sorry you went through that. I appreciate that. It did suck. And it sucked when I was getting, something happened just last week where somebody came for me in one of the big chats, and I just decided I was going to stop being silent about it, and so I spoke up and said, knock it off. And it was really interesting who piled on and just went, oh, poor so-and-so. I was like, just... Here's my response. I just went down. Anybody who was doing that, I feel like they were joining a gang, siding up, and escalating the conflict. And um, my take on it was that somebody said something that was inaccurate, and I corrected it. And then when I saw there were some people that I regularly talked to, and when they piped up and went, "Oh, poor them," I just went block, and I must have blocked. I blocked a bunch of people, and I won't miss them because it's not drama, it's conflict. I'm tired of the conflict. I'm tired of people coming for other people, and you know, I got called a ridiculous name uh, by somebody who has no idea what work I've done. So um, I'm rarely chatting anymore. I'm usually just kind of watching. But boy, you bring my name up, I'm not gonna be quiet anymore. Um, oh, thank you, Jessica. Witness, yeah, they do. They show themselves, and they just. I was really actually shocked by a couple of the people who piped up and went, "Oh, blah blah blah," because they had been in the chat of the enemy of the person who was causing the ruckus. And I'm like, you hypocritical, out of the side of your mouth talkers, I just don't have time for this. And I'm not putting up with it. It's gone on long enough. And I don't think that my little stand is going to put an end to the conflict and the infighting, but if it makes one other person out there feel like, oh, they weren't alone and getting a little bit picked on or othered or shunned or harassed or any of the rest of this bullshit, then um, I've had that energy for a long time. It's part of why uh, was a lawyer. I don't like seeing people get treated unfairly. You know, one of the other things I've noticed is like it's just been a year of a lot of, I mean, everything from the occupation to the continued protesting and just so much effort. And I'm looking to see what have we gotten? You know, how many people have we gotten out? What progress has been made? What legislative change has been made? What investigations have been opened? Well, Riga PDX got somebody out, and I believe Steve Mango helped somebody get out. Okay, I mean, that's a lot of work. That is a lot of work. It's a lot of travel. It's a lot of time standing. It's a lot of signs. It's a lot of yelling. It's a lot of talking. It's a lot of kindness extended. It's a lot of what is it? What does it add up to? I mean, you know, if you're in the movement, that's a question for you to ask and answer for yourself. But I know what I see. And I see a lot of resources going to something that is it just YouTube content? Is that what we're doing? We're making YouTube content? Are we making social change? Are we making progress for people that are finding themselves trapped in high demand religions? I've been in a high demand religion. I am a cult survivor. Um, you know, it's a lot of work that's going into it. It's a lot of our time that we're putting into it. So if you want to make the world a better place, you want to help people be more peaceful and have better mental health, and more freedom. So I adjusted the way that I was working in this space. And I support anybody else who's adjusting to more effectively do the work they want to do in the world. It's okay to do that. But I don't see anything that is really wildly successful here. Certainly not anything that one person should point to what they're doing and say, this is, this is the way. And I don't know what about, about that big common goal of, I can't assess whether we're meeting the common goal or even if we can agree on what the common goal is. But what I can do is work on my own goal. And if you're a person who is motivated to work in this space, I encourage you to clarify what your goal is, what your objectives are, and tell you that it's okay for you to work towards your objectives in whatever endeavor you're engaged in, wherever you're spending your precious life, your precious time. Witness says, at least you have a stand and you aren't two-faced, I guess. I try to... It's always kind of been a challenge for me, and I don't know if it's autism and just the way that I look at the world as trying to figure out what the rules are, try to figure out the left and the right of it, the white and the black of it, and I've never resided easily in the gray zones. And I come into, it doesn't matter what I'm looking at. I mean, I could be trying to figure out which black t-shirt I want. I mean, I have always just, I kind of have a hard time making decisions because I want to know all of the information. I want to come to the best answer. I'm not great with ambiguity, and I'm not great with just running in and grabbing the thing that looks like this is close, that'll work. No, I want to see every black t-shirt in the store, and I'm kind of the same way when it comes to this stuff. I will look for look for all of the points, and I have one of those autistic brains that is a pattern spotting brain, and the more I look at whatever's in front of me, the more my brain indexes it and tries to make sense of it and sort it out. And I think, there are things in life where you just go along with the flow and you just are doing it. My brain is analyzing it whether I want it to or not, and it's constantly giving me feedback about things like, that's inconsistent, or that is different from what was said last week or three months ago, and it just kept adding up, and everything would sort of go down like a house of cards or a line of those, when people line up the dominoes, and it'd click along, and then there'd be a disconnect, and it it's just it's a challenge to kind of keep track of everything that's going on with it. So I try not to be too much of a flip-flopper. I try to kind of figure out what the lay of the land is and take the best route through it. So, yeah. Nice. I'll check that out, Witness. Witness is saying that she's got a a list of content creators that she feels comfortable referring to her followers. I paraphrase that a little bit. I hope I got that right. I'm the same way. I was I was really on the bandwagon for sharing links and stuff for quite a while, and then I realized that every time I dropped a link in my live chat, that it diverted people off of my content. And I think sometimes they'd click through to subscribe and then go poking around, and sometimes they'd go down a rabbit hole. And then I'm in doing that, it's self-defeating. It might be supportive to other people who may or may not have been practicing reciprocity. They weren't being reciprocal. And what it would do is it divert people, and it would cut down my watch hours and my views. So I decided to switch that up and do links to things that I support, or creators that I support, or I like how they're doing the work that they're doing. And I do that in posts, or sometimes in the description that I edit after my live stream has ended. But we've got some practices that some people in the community are very enthusiastic about the practices of, say, maybe dropping links to other quote unquote small channels. But if that practice, in the final calculation, if it ends up bleeding off the things that we need as smaller channels, like if I am working towards a goal of getting monetized, because I'd like to. It doesn't matter why. I don't have to justify it to anybody why I want to be monetized, but I would like to. I will share that I would like to have the merchandise, be able to have the merch store, so that we could sell some art and do some things that way. And that requires a certain number of subscribers. So if you're out there watching and you haven't subscribed, please do. I really appreciate it. I'm still trying to build that number up. And then, we've got to have a certain number of watch hours. So doing things that divert, sending somebody who's watching off to another channel and they subscribe, that doesn't hurt me at all. I don't have any problem with that. But if you send them off and they stop watching, then that does have an impact. So, and it probably will have an impact after I meet that watch hour threshold too. But additionally, for me, it breaks my concentration. And I mean, as you've seen, I can be all over the place with things, and that can just be a challenge. So, to wrap that thought up, think through, don't just routinely or rotely do the things that the other people are doing without understanding how it works and what its impact is. And while I'm here, I'll just throw this in too. I know we've had some creators who've said things like, "Will you please? I need watch hours. If you would put my playlist on and watch again, I would really appreciate that." We only get credit if you get into the YouTube, how they calculate watch hours. It doesn't actually help your channel to have the same viewer watch your playlist repeatedly, because the platform has the capacity to determine whether the views are coming from the same account, and you only get credit for one view. So if you're watching somebody that you're supporting, and you're on their playlist and you're watching it 10 times, you are spending a lot of time. They are asking you for a lot of your time, and they are only getting credit for one watch. If you've got more than one account, I think that might accumulate more watch hours. But watching somebody's stuff 10 times doesn't do them that good. It does them the good of having one watch. And I don't know how many content creators I've heard say, "Please get on my get on my playlist and just, if you could put that on repeat, if you could put it on and just have it running on 2 or 3 devices, run it while you're asleep. Just run my playlist again and again. It doesn't get it done. So figure out what's going on with the rules and the calculations and the way that that YouTube works before you ask people to watch your playlists over and over. If you were if you're doing that and YouTube sees that that's a lot of your traffic, it will adjust the algorithm accordingly, and it won't push your channel out as much, and you'll get some dings for that. So, and I mean, how many times have we heard in the community, so and so needs watch hours, put their playlist on. If you haven't listened to it, fine. If you're going to watch other content, that'll count. That'll accumulate watch hours for them. But just watching the same thing repeatedly will not do it. So don't invest your time in that. Yeah. Alrighty, we're coming up. We've got about 10 more minutes here. I think we got time to do one more small one, and then I'm going to wrap this up because it's been kind of intent on this one topic. I do plan to charge the phone and then come back again later today for another live stream. I know that we've got there's lots of stuff to do today. There's lots of I was happy to see we've got quite a few channels who are going live and running some content so that people have a place to land and hang out. And I think rather than take this out to another hour, I think we've probably given enough time to the conflict, and we'll start a fresh one and just try to keep it maybe a little bit lighter and a little bit more arty and less in the weeds on analyzing conflict and offering a little bit of a window into what's been going on. I don't know if anybody out there was like, what happened to Janelle? Where'd she go? She was here all the time and then she went away. Yeah, I didn't go away. I kind of got chased away. And I'm not the only one. And the people that are getting chased away were supporters. So I guess there's a fresh supply coming up. But I really hate to see subscribers and people in chat just being consumed like we're a commodity. It's not fair. And there are real humans behind these names. Most of them. I mean, I'm not a bot. And I'm not working for the enemy. And even those people that are working for the enemy, those are humans too. Those are people. So, yeah, if there's comments, questions, throw them out there. I'd really like to be in a speak now or forever hold your peace. We'll never come back to this again. Today only. But it's a process to get extracted from it, just like it's a process to get extracted from a cult or high demand religion or a tricky relationship, or I'm in the process. And the people that I've met and had developed, our lovely parasocial relationships. Like I'm not excluding. I'm not turning away from people. My goal is to provide an alternative that actually leaves people a little better off for having spent some time, or at the very minimum, has you thinking and has you considering, how you go in the world and whether you're living a life practicing loving kindness. I identify as a student of Buddhism myself, and one of the things that I regret was in this last year is I haven't had the time to do the reading and do the studying that I like to do that seemed to move me forward into just becoming a person who lived with more kindness towards everybody, to try to have that attitude that everybody's probably doing the best they can in any given situation, and to just take a breath and not immediately snap into that lawyer mindset of somebody's right, somebody's wrong, and let's sort this out right here. So I'm looking forward in the next year to having time to get back into reading some of those. I like Pema Chodron quite a lot, and just getting back to that. I was a happier person. I think the people around me were happier when I was doing that, and I've not taken away a feeling that I've grown myself in a positive way for the year that I've spent in the activism realm. Jessica Lynn, off to the dogs. That sounds like an absolutely that's a good choice. That's what I'm trying to say. That's a good choice. Hanging out with the four-footed friends of the world is always a good choice. It was lovely to see you in here, and thanks for listening to me ramble on about this. Just unburden myself of these things that have just been, they've kind of been simmering away and festering away, and yeah, now maybe that there's some utility in getting it all expressed and just stating, connecting with what the intentions are. Not sure I love that kind of language, but I think we've been speaking in those kinds of terms around the social media sites. And, we tend to do a lot of things without even thinking about what the hell are we doing. What's our point here? And not everything has to be done with tremendous intention, but the more we can, the more mindful we are of how we're doing what we're doing, and maybe even of what are you doing. We get up and are you live that way? Get up and just do things, and then you ever go, why did I do that? Just because I'm in the habit of doing it? It's easy to get into habits and to go do things because that's what you did yesterday. But every once in a while, particularly if you're feeling distressed or exhausted or depleted or worn out, it's useful to examine what you're doing with your time, where you're spending it, and analyze what it is giving back, and weigh out if something is just taking from you, and a lot of things in life are just, that's the balance. That's where the energy flows away. But we do have to have energy flow towards us as well, and positive energy that replenishes us, nourishes us. Um, you can't just always have your energy flowing away from you. Alrighty, shall we do an art show? Let's see what we got here. Well, I wasn't very careful about how I stacked things. I just sort of tucked stuff in here, so I'm not... This may or may not be an art show of stuff we actually did. I feel like... Did we do 4 drawings? Was anybody keeping track? Alrighty, well... Pretty sure I'm missing one here, but... I do try to... I've been trying on these last videos to do an art show that is... sums up, so whenever you tune into one of the live streams, I don't think I've done chapter breaks on for you to go and find things, but if you have a curiosity about what kind of drawings or what kind of art I'm going to be working on during that particular live stream, if you go to probably the last 5 minutes or 3 minutes of any live stream, I've been trying to do a little bit of an art show with the Pebble drawings or the paintings, and if you see something you like and you want to see where it came from and what it went to, you can just get a little peek of everything sort of in the art show section. Yeah, I thought didn't we have a blue one here? I don't know. I don't know. As soon as I stop the live stream, I'll look over and see the other stuff. But hang in there today. Try to just take a breath and take a pause if you are in with if you're in a group of your family or hanging out with people that you're not usually hanging out with. Just give yourself a little extra time before you uncork, and that might help your day go a little bit better. If you are hanging out on your own solo, enjoy the heck out of it. Do what you want to do. Read a book, do some art. Know that there's other people out here in our community that are hanging out, and we're solo today too, and it's gonna be a fine day. It's gonna be an okay day. Oh, we did this one. There we go. I knew there was another cool one that we'd done. We did this one with the Cascade Green. There we are. Yeah. And if you're looking for a little company, there will be all kinds of live streams going on. I'll be back. I think Maya and I are trying to put together a live stream with the two of us, and we may run that. We haven't run one on Maya's channel for a while, so we might just do that. And I will try to throw a post in my community page, so that it'll just be a little something to tune into and know that you can chat with us, and you've got some buddies out here in the in the inchoate space, non-space universe of YouTube. And we'll see you guys a little bit later. Thanks everybody for coming in. Thanks for hitting that like, and I really appreciate the subscriptions. I will be looking for your comments, so leave a comment. Take care.